Welcome to this week's Supply Chain Update, brought to you by Phoenix International. Demand is gradually picking up on the Trans-Pacific eastbound trade lane following the Lunar New Year, but it hasn't returned to pre-holiday levels. With more space available and no general rate increases expected, rates are dropping into March. Over in the Far East westbound market, demand remains sluggish. However, carriers in the Gemini and Ocean Alliances have announced a significant rate increase in March, which may stabilize prices. Meanwhile, the transatlantic westbound trade is seeing strong demand on the North Europe-US East Coast route as shippers rush to get ahead of upcoming U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. Equipment availability has improved across most Asian gateways, making logistics smoother for Trans-Pacific eastbound shipments. In Europe, congestion at major ports like Rotterdam is delaying vessel schedules by 5 to 9 days. On the transatlantic trade, equipment shortages continue in Central Europe, impacting shippers in Austria, Slovakia, Switzerland, Hungary, and parts of Germany. Trans-Pacific eastbound capacity is back to 90% of pre-Lunar New Year levels, keeping rates under pressure. On the Far East westbound trade, blank sailings in late February and early March are limiting available space, potentially affecting last-minute bookings. Transatlantic westbound vessels heading to the U.S. East Coast are running at high capacity due to pre-tariff shipments, while the Mediterranean trade remains balanced. Despite new U.S. tariffs on steel and energy policy shifts, southeastern ports are optimistic about break-bulk cargo growth in 2025. The Port of Brunswick, now the country's busiest auto and heavy equipment hub, recently surpassed 2 million tons of roll-on roll-off cargo. Infrastructure investments continue to support its rapid expansion. Labor tensions at Rotterdam's Delta Second Terminal have escalated, leading to port delays. A recent 2-day strike forced Maersk to omit a scheduled port call, and follow-up slowdowns have added up to 48 hours of supply chain disruptions. Talks between unions and terminal operators continue, but further interruptions remain a possibility. Congestion at the Port of Vancouver is intensifying due to restricted rail access and winter weather conditions affecting CPKC Rail and CN Rail. These disruptions have led to slower train speeds and reduced capacity, prompting carriers like Hapag-Lloyd to warn customers of growing transit delays. Container carriers remain hesitant to resume Red Sea and Suez Canal transits due to security risks and high insurance premiums. Many vessels are still rerouting around southern Africa, increasing transit times and costs. With no clear timeline for a return to normal, global supply chains continue to adjust to these extended routes. And that concludes our update on the global supply chain. Thank you for joining us. We will continue to monitor these developments and keep you informed. You can follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for more supply chain related updates.